SCORE Northeast Wisconsin and WHBY are pleased to bring you Biz Talk, a chance for you to hear from entrepreneurs and professionals as they share their experiences. From starting to sustaining growth, learn the skills needed for your business to be successful. If you miss anything, you can catch the Biz Talk podcast at score.org/Northeast Wisconsin. And now from the Myron Construction Studio, it's Biz Talk on WHBY.
A good Saturday morning to all of you. Thank you for joining us this weekend for our show. This week joining me as co-host is Rick Sintz. Rick, thanks for being here.
Glad to be here, Terry.
And I assume you're getting lots of biking in?
I am. A little bit of rain this week, but other than that, it's been pretty good biking weather.
Yeah, and I was able early in the week to get two of my Loop the Lake in. I got 48 more to go. On a bit of an injured reserve list for another week or so, but after that, I'll be back working on that, getting that done. Okay? So
you guys are putting me to shame.
I think you're probably in the best condition of everybody on this show right now. So this week, that voice you just heard is Jean Long Manteufel, and Jean is the owner of Long Senior Transitions, and we're going to talk about her business background in that business today. But let's start with you, Jean. Introduce yourself, what you do, how you got to where you are.
To give you a little bit of background, I started working for my parents in 1989, a long, long time ago, and that was at A1 Moving and Storage. My parents had started the company in 1960, and basically they did delivery services for, like the fair stores and Montgomery wards, did piano deliveries for Hydes, and over the years they expanded and they became agents for North American Van Lines. So along came me, and I reached out to my folks and said, I really like being in the moving business. Could I come work for you? And surprise, surprise, they said, no. You can't drive a truck. What good would you be? So I actually asked them if I could come and work for them for straight commission, and they said, sure. So that's how I started working for my parents. And over the years, they gave me more and more responsibility and leaned on me more and more, and they started taking more and more vacations. And in 1999, I bought the company from my parents and had been running it since then with my son, Mike. So 3 generations we had at A1 Moving and Storage. So now, to flip over to Long's Senior Transitions, in the moving business, my office always knew that if there was somebody on the phone and they were having a really hard time with the move, and generally it was a senior, generally it was someone who had failing health or their spouse had recently passed away, and they were having a really hard time. My office knew that's my customer. Give me that one. So, I enjoyed working with those folks and helping them through the process. Moving is a one-day thing, but it's all about so many other layers when you're a senior and you're overwhelmed with the process. So then one day, my sister sent me an article from Good Housekeeping. This was like 18 years ago. She sent me an article from Good Housekeeping about a person that did this professionally. It's called Senior Move Management. And I was so intrigued by it. And I called the lady in the article. That was back before you could Google, or learn anything on the internet. So I called the lady. She was in Atlanta, Georgia. And she said, darling, they do this all over the country. You have to go to school. So I went to school in Florida, learned about senior move management and about the process. It isn't about the move. It's about where do I go to, and what do I take to where I go, and what do I do with all my stuff? And my kids don't want my stuff. And so after going to the school, I started a side division of A1 Moving called Long's Senior Transition. And so I've been doing that for 18 years now. And I can also tell you that it became my passion. I absolutely love helping seniors through the process. And I think every week I hear somebody say I'm overwhelmed and they're in tears, and I get to help them, and that's what I love doing.
Okay. And we're going to talk later in the show about what's involved because it's a complicated, much more complicated than people think. But once they know it, it's pretty straightforward if you can get some help. And I've gone through some of that, watched it from a distance as my parents lived long away and far away, and I had a sister who did most of it. But there's a lot to it, so we will get through that in more detail. But let's go back to when you started up the business. You said it was a kind of an addition to the basic A1 moving business. Did you think it was going to become the primary part of your business?
Never. No, it was just like my mom thought of it as my little pet project, I think. It was just something that I enjoyed doing and I treasure. I actually just love helping people, so it's perfect match for me. But it's what I want to do.
Okay. So when you did it, what were your goals when you started up in say 2007 or so? What was your goal?
I think it was really just to help people. It's not a monetary goal or a, number of jobs kind of goal. It was just, I really like lending people a hand when they're having a tough time. And one of the benefits I have is like, I know everybody in Appleton. So I know all the connections. I know all the right people. And so I connect people together. And so that to me is fun. I just enjoy it.
Okay.
I know it doesn't sound like a goal. Doesn't sound like a goal.
That's like a passion.
Yeah.
So if you're starting this up and you're occasionally getting people phoning in who are struggling with the move, how did you go about making this into more of a business? Did you go out searching for clients or did you just let it build organically?
Well, it's actually hard to build it organically because people don't know that they need it until they hear about it. And then they're like, oh my gosh. So I started out by reaching out to realtors and to senior communities. And because they're both people that are waiting to do business with these folks, but they're put off because, well, I can't do it yet because I can't move into your senior community yet because I have to deal with my house. And then 3 years later, they're still saying, I can't move into your senior community because I have to deal with my house. So that's where I reached out to those folks and introduced myself and got a lot of support through both of those resources. And those are still my primary resources because people don't know to look you up in the phone book. Well, okay, there's no phone book anymore. But people don't know to look you up because they just don't imagine that there's such a service available.
Okay. So is it pretty consistently now people that are looking at moving into assisted living type of homes? Is that what you're mostly dealing with now?
I'd say so, yes. Assisted living or any kind of senior community. When they're looking at moving from the big old family house you've been in for 20, 30, 40, 50 years to something smaller. Those are the folks that contact me.
Okay. So as we step back and go back again and just think about where you were with A1 moving, what led you to decide you should focus exclusively on the long senior transitions portion of the business?
Well, about 4 years ago, my son and I had a conversation and Mike said, just so you know, Mom, I'm here for you. He's my business partner. He's like, I'm here for you, but when you're ready to retire, this is not my chosen path. And the moving business. So I was like, okay. I've appreciated having him around for the last 25 years. I love working with him. But when he told me that, my first thought was just like with my senior business, whose job is it to clear your house out? It's yours. And so my thought was, whose job is it to close A1 moving? It's mine, not his. So I wanted to make that happen. So he and I put a plan together and decided to close the company. Because last year I was ready to retire. So it was like he stayed with me and helped me through it. But it was, I guess I figured it was my responsibility to relieve him of the burden of having to close the business. So we did it together, and I think we did it well. And I was actually pretty proud of how we did it. And so we closed A1 Moving after 65 years, and no regrets. It's all good.
Was it hard to do?
You know, somebody told me when I started that it's harder to close a business than to open a business, and I scoffed. It is harder to close a business than it is to open a business. It was hard. But I think we did our homework. We put the time in, we put the research in, and I think that we did well. I guess I'd like to say we did well with the closing, and I think Mom and Dad would even say you did good. Yeah.
So when you come in and now you're running only the senior transitions portion, were you able to carry over most of the administrative tasks and duties and doing it in the same way you used to do it, or do you have to change all that?
Well, it's kind of funny because, you know, before I had people and folks that knew how to do things. So now I had to learn how to do everything myself. The first thing I did, because I believe in getting professional help anytime you can. Why reinvent the wheel? The first thing I did was I called SCORE and said, help. The closing of the business side of it, I figured I could do, but I don't know how to open a business. I've never opened a business before. And so I wanted to get some advice on just what steps I want to do things right. And so having that assistance meant the world to me. Just getting somebody that knows what we're doing and can walk me through it. So I did get help and set things up. Some of the things that I did in A1 carried over, but for the most part, it was like, okay, you need a website, you need a license, you need the state of Wisconsin to approve you, you need, a tax ID number, all that good stuff that it all existed with A1 Moving. I didn't have to start from from scratch. So, but it's all pulled together, and for the most part, some of it just transferred over because I was already doing the senior transition side. But it's the paperwork, I guess. I'd say that's the hard part, is the paperwork.
Okay, we're going to take our first break. You're listening to Biz Talk with SCORE on WHBY, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Welcome back to Biz Talk with SCORE on WHBY Radio. I'm Rick Stentz along with co-host Terry Pinch this week. And we are talking with Jean Long Manteufel. And we're going to get back to Jean in just a second. First, I want to just take a few moments to talk to you about SCORE. SCORE Northeast Wisconsin serves an 18-county area in northeast Wisconsin, plus the county of Menominee in Michigan. We have over 50 volunteers, each an expert in their field, offering entrepreneurs no-cost and confidential mentoring. Those areas of expertise include IT, social media, marketing, cash flow, accounting, strategic planning, workflow, human resources, retail, best practices, and many, many others. In order to register for a no-cost confidential mentoring session and or to learn more about the SCORE Northeast Wisconsin program, please visit our website at score.org/Northeast Wisconsin. You can learn more about how the SCORE chapter can assist you with starting and or growing your business, and you can complete an application for a mentoring session. Simply complete the online form and submit it to SCORE. Within a few days, the SCORE mentor will be contacting you to set up a meeting. Remember, SCORE is no cost and offers experts who can offer you assistance in many different areas. To get started, please visit our website at score.org/Northeast Wisconsin. And to support small business people, SCORE Northeast Wisconsin is always looking for new mentors. If you have experience that you would like to share with others, we'd love to talk to you. We welcome volunteers with experience in all aspects of business. Small business owners need your help, and your experience can make a real difference to their success. Go to score.org/Northeast Wisconsin, click on the volunteer button and fill out the short application, and we'll get back to you to explain more. So thanks again for joining us on Biz Talk, and now back to the program. Gene, during your last answer, you mentioned that you actually reached out to SCORE much later in your career path than a lot of people do. And I know I've known you for some time, and you're someone with your knowledge, your skill set, your acumen, calling SCORE later in your career is something that I was kind of surprised to hear you say that. Is it something you would encourage other people that are at that stage of their careers to do more of?
Absolutely. And actually, I just wrote down score.org again to remind me to go to your social media experts so that I can get help there. Yes, I know one thing in business. I don't know it all. And I have always believed in getting professional advice from people that know things that I don't know, because you can't be a jack of all trades and master of none. So yes, I reached out to SCORE, basically because I listened to Biz Talk Radio. So I reached out to SCORE, because I listened to Biz Talk Radio, and, I just knew I needed help, and I went to your website, and there's people there, and it talks about their different backgrounds, and some of them I knew, and I was like, oh, cool. Pat Lowney, I know him. He can help me. And so I reached out and got really good advice. And it wasn't too much. It wasn't too little. It was just exactly what I needed to get me on the road to knowing what I was doing.
And so if someone is looking at that point in their career where they're looking to transition or sell the business or shutter the business like you were with A1 Moving, what kind of things are they going to have to kind of prepare for that you could maybe give them as a precursor before they pick up the phone to call someone at SCORE?
Oh, actually, I think that I knew kind of the direction I was looking. I need help with putting together a business plan, and I sort of knew what I wanted, but I really didn't know what I wanted. But after I connected with him, he asked me questions and, kind of guided me with, oh, well, here's what you need. And we sat down and he walked me through things. He gave me some homework assignments and I did those. He offered to, even go through them with me and do some things with me, and some things we did, that I did on my own. And then, he followed up and said, what else do you need? And then I may have mentioned that, hey, I am closing my business. Did I do everything right on the closing side? And he gave me a little advice in that direction too. So really just, it wasn't so much that, checklist as that he kind of just, where are you at? What do you need? And we kind of talked our way through it, and it was great. I would suggest anybody at any age do it, because why not get advice? Wait. Why not get free advice from experts that can help you with what you need?
Gee, I think you have a future in advertising. So
no, I just love what you have. You have good advice and spot on. Experts in each area that know what they're doing.
So, as you were working with Pat, was there anything that really surprised you that you needed to do, or was it just a matter of confirming what you were thinking through, getting some tools in place, and really having somebody to help give you advice as you move through things?
I think a little bit of that last part is I needed tools. I needed to know, it's like you don't know what you don't know. I don't know what you're supposed to do when you open a business. And you want to be compliant with all the regulators, whoever they may be, but how do you find them? He helped me with that. He just asked questions and we kind of talked over some things that I wasn't sure if I'm supposed to do. And he just walked me through it, talking together. All decisions were mine. There wasn't any, you have to do this, you have to do that. It was all suggestions and ideas and kind of putting my brain to work. Here, what do you think about this? And what do you think about that? He was asking me what I thought and what I needed. So I thought that was it was so helpful. It really was. And it wasn't hugely time consuming. I'll tell you that. It wasn't like we spent 2 months together or something. It was, I think, 3 sessions.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. So one last quick question before we go into our next break. Are there licenses required for your business?
No. First of all, we talked about the benefits of being incorporated or an S corp or an LLC. I went LLC. I also worked with my accountant, talked to my accountant about what should I be doing. There isn't licenses, but there is, you have to register your business with the state of Wisconsin and you have to register with the federal government. And, no, there isn't licenses. And then I also just can't recommend enough to anybody. You should be insured.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. You're listening to Biz Talk with Score on WHBY. I'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back to Biz Talk with Score. We're talking this week to Jean Long Manteufel, and we're talking about her business, Long Senior Transition. Before we get back to Jean, I want to give you a quick update on some Score educational opportunities. If you go to our website at score.org/Northeast Wisconsin, and Northeast Wisconsin is all one word, you'll see a tab up at the top for workshops and events. And you go in there and there's literally hundreds, if not thousands, of different webinars out there. I'm going to talk to you about a couple that are not, that haven't been recorded yet, but will be, and you can attend the live event, at no cost if you're interested in it. But 2 of them that are coming up are on June 4th. It's Business Plans 101. So it's an introduction to business plans to get you thinking about it. It's at 9:30 in the morning on June 4th. You can go to our website, score.org/Northeast Wisconsin, and register in the workshops and events tab. Another webinar coming up is on June 5th, and it's Sell Online with E-commerce Tools. And that's at 6 o'clock at night on June 5th. And that is something we get a lot of questions about with people is how do you sell online now? A lot of people starting businesses are interested in that. And so this is an opportunity to learn a little bit more about it. Again, go to score.org/Northeast Wisconsin, click on the workshops and events tabs, and you'll see places to search for webinars or live events. And you can put in and either just see local events, national events, or events from all over the country because so many chapters in SCORE, there's almost 400 of them, offer events, and they're typically no cost. So you can register and watch from the comfort of your home. Okay, so with that now, we're going to turn back to Jean. And Jean, we're going to talk a little bit more in a little bit more detail about senior transitions and why this is a difficult personal issue for many people. So let's start with talking through, I guess we should actually start with that. Why is this so hard for people?
It is kind of the accepting the fact that we're not all going to be here forever. And many, many people want to stay in their home. And this isn't me saying it. This is their words. So if it sounds disrespectful, these are words I hear every week. I plan on dying right here in this chair. And I always laugh because I think, oh, good thing you have a plan. Does the big guy know about it? Because you've seen with your friends and your family, as we age, life challenges hit us, and you're not always in control of how you're going to be leaving your big family home. So I don't know, I don't know if it's the procrastination, if it's the denial, what it is, but we're comfortable in our home. We love the status quo, even when it stops working. And people want to stay in I guess I call it their nest, their comfort zone, their place that they're cozy. And so that it's like a taboo subject. You're not even allowed to talk. Some parents will make the kids swear you'll let us stay in this house as long as we live. What a horrible thing to make your kids promise. I mean, really. And so it's, the why, I don't know, but I see it every day. I see people that want to stay in their home. And I have to tell you, what the people that call me for, either their health is failing and now they have to leave, or their spouse passed away and now they have to leave. What a horrible time to be making a life transition when you're under so much trauma besides. So you'll always hear me encouraging people to plan ahead, think ahead, talk about it, be considering what is your next step. You're not going to be staying necessarily in your big family home. So what steps are you taking to make it a process instead of a sudden unchosen path?
Okay.
How's that?
That's excellent. So let's start with that, talk about the process and why it matters. And let's start with just a little more on the planning. How do you get your clients to be willing to open up and talk through that planning piece?
Well, it's really like, let's start a conversation. And that's why I love doing, something like this. Or I did reach out to the Post Crescent 15 years ago, and I said, listen, people are waiting too long. They wait till they're in trauma to make a transition. I want to get them thinking about it. And so I pitched them an idea of doing a column once a month of just like, let's get people talking. And that's my goal. It's like, nobody says you have to move. But let's talk about it. Let's talk about where you might be a year from now, 5 years from now. Have you done a little homework? Do you know anything about other places that you might live, or just do it like that score thing. Do a little homework, right? Learn a little bit. Get out there and see what there is, what you have. Surprisingly, once people get going, they oftentimes find a place they love, and then they're suddenly open to making a change, because it's like, now it's no longer the great unknown. Now it's a known thing. It's the unknown that scares us, right?
Okay. So is that actually probably the most important part of the planning phase, is the mindset and getting them to move from being afraid to thinking of it as something they're working towards?
Yes, absolutely. So I do one thing with folks. I try to get them to set a goal. And the goal isn't to clean out the house or find a place to move. The goal is what do you want to do? What do you want to be? Why are you even considering a move? And so your goal might be that you want to deal with the house so your kids don't have to. Your goal might be that you want to move somewhere that you have help around when you need it. One of the things I've seen a lot of since COVID is people that want to just be around humans. They want to be where there's community, where there's, instead of just sitting home all day and not seeing anybody but the mailman, they want to be where there's something going on. And so I like to get them to just set a goal, and then everything else is moving towards the goal.
Okay.
That makes,
So how long does this planning phase usually take? Is it pretty quick? Is it something that takes a while to get them going?
oh, it's kind of funny that you ask that, because one of the things the communities love about me is when they have somebody. I've got somebody I'm meeting with this week that is they said they're going to move in October. But usually once I meet with people and they start seeing the possibilities, and they already know where they're moving, by the way, but they start seeing the possibilities and that they don't have to do this whole burdensome workload by themselves. That they're so overwhelmed with the very thought of how to get through the process that they put it off for 5 months. But pretty much when I'm done with them, they're talking like a month. Like, what are we waiting for? Let's go. And so the communities love it because they can, you're not living in the midst of the disorganization. I prefer that you just go be where there's people and joy and, a life going on, and let me deal with the house.
Hmm.
So
Let's talk about that first piece. It seems to me that some of the most difficult components of it is getting that current home prepared to sell and to move out of. How do you go about working on that?
So if I had my druthers, I would tell everybody, move. Find where you're going and go. Because you're going to probably a 2-bedroom place or a 1-bedroom place. Take what you want and go, and wake up the next day and you're there. Instead of staying in the house and going through closets and going through the basement and going through the attic and going through the garage. And you're going through all this stuff that isn't even moving. And you're living in the midst of the struggle. And so if I had my choice, I'd tell people, do the opposite. Just flip your switch and go. And then let me and the kids deal with what's left in the house. Because what happens is people are, okay, 80% of your house is not moving with you, right? Wherever you're going in your next adventure, 80% of that house is not going. But that's the first thing people start doing, is cleaning out the 80% that has nothing to do with their new home. So let's just skip that step and find what we love and enjoy and treasure and bring it to our new home, set up housekeeping. And then I even say, then go back to the house and shop some more. You find some more things that you love and treasure, and now you've got space for it. Or more likely, take back to the house because you took too much in the first place. But then the next step is I bring in realtors. I bring in the movers. I bring in the realtors. I bring in the cleaning service. Let's deal with all the contents. Let's ship things to the kids. If the kids want something, let's get it shipped to them. And I kind of think of myself like an orchestra leader. My job is to bring all the sections together and make beautiful music. And you just get to be in the audience and listen and enjoy the results. So that's kind of what I do, is just, what do you need? What do you need? And I know who to connect you with.
But how about all those things people have collected for the last 50 years, and they've got piles of things that their kids don't want for the most part, but how do they break away from that?
So I have to laugh, Terry, because my column in Sunday's paper is about, it even uses the words piles of stuff that the kids don't want. So my advice to you is, remember, you enjoyed it. You didn't, all those piles of things. That's what I do, is I help people find a home for all of those things. I bring in buyers, or we have an estate sale, or whatever it takes to make it happen. Because what's the goal? The goal isn't to get the stuff gone. The goal is to be living somewhere safe and comfortable. I just help them deal with all the stuff, but you have to remember, you have a house full of stuff and it can't fit in your new apartment. You cannot take 2,000 square foot house and put it in a 700 square foot apartment, even though every week people try. They can't live without any of it. It all has to go. It has to move. We need it all, but you have to choose your memories. You have to choose your treasures. Is it something you treasure, and is it something that is practical? And because it reminds you of your grandma is a practical reason to keep something, but maybe not 89 bells or Hummels or precious moments or teacups or.
So once you've worked through that, though, I imagine the next phase of helping with the setup and moving to a new location flows a lot easier. Is that true?
Well, see, to me, the flow would be look at your floor plan of your new place. Okay, you've got a living room, a bedroom, maybe a den or a second bedroom, and a kitchen. And what are you going to take and what fits? And that's all you should be looking at. That's all you should be dealing with is what am I taking to my new home to make it beautiful and to make it mine? And stop dealing with the basement and the attic. That's what's wearing you out. That's why you're exhausted. Doing a downsize is, I hear people say, I'm overwhelmed. Well, that's because you're dealing with things that are irrelevant. The books, how many books do you need? Or the tools in the workroom. There's no workroom in your new apartment. So stop dealing with things that are not part of your new home.
Okay. So one thing that kind of we seem to hear about is working with the family members. How do you deal with the expectations family members may have that mom's going to hang on to all this stuff, or no, I don't want anything, or how do you help people that are in transition when family members have different opinions?
Oh, that's only 87 questions right there. I could talk about that for an hour. So number one, parents, you need to let your kids know in no uncertain terms that you're making a transition. Okay, we're moving and we need your support and your help. And so that means we need your encouragement. We need you to take anything you want and then take more. And then I have a sign that says there's only one rule, and the rule is that anything that is given belongs to the person that received it, and it's up to them to pass it along or to use it or gift it, but they don't have to. They don't have to, like, mom that says 3 months later, she says, I'd like that red sweater back. No, you gave it to me. It's gone. I passed it along. Whether you give it to Goodwill or whatever, you want the kids to support. And Terry, when I say that, that also means support in a positive fashion, because you'll have kids that say, oh, I don't know why my sister is telling you that you need to do this or need to do that. You should do whatever you want, Mom. That's not supporting. Supporting is supporting the decision. If the decision is to move to a senior community, let's all pitch in together and make it happen. Let's have the whole group be on the same page and help. And it's also a time where you have to speak up, because if there's something you want, you better let Mom know, because it might be out the door before you know it. Because once she's in the mode of getting things gone, things may disappear. So I think the best thing a family can do is just be there and support.
Yeah. So selling the home itself, how do you go about helping with selling the original home?
And when you say that, I had a lady that told me her son did not speak to her for 6 months after she sold the family home. He was so incensed with her. then he came to her on Mother's Day and said, I'm so sorry, Mom. You gave us the best present a parent could ever give your kids. You cleaned out your own house. So what I do is it's like if what they need is they need a realtor, then I bring in some realtors to do a market analysis and give them a price, give them a proposal. Every decision belongs to the customer, but I bring them the options. Here's some realtors. One thing I require with the realtors is that they work with the special customer, that there's no pressure. There's no, hey, I've got a buyer. We're going to come over tomorrow morning. One step at a time. We break it all down into small steps and just one thing at a time. It's really important. So, I do tell people, because you still have people that think they should remodel the house, for selling, and I tell people just like, get yourself out of the way, and, the house will sell, because the market is still hot, for senior house, for that kind of a house, that a good old family home. So, I just help them with the whatever you need a realtor, you need clean out, you need, the carpet clean, whatever it is that they need. But I'd prefer that they're not there for it, that they're already living in their new community, and that it's a lot easier to let go of that basement when you're not living in the house,
Okay. All right. We're going to be taking our final break now. You're listening to Biz Talk with Score on WHBY. We'll be right back. Welcome back. I would like to thank the sponsors and donors who bring Biz Talk with Score to you each weekend. We couldn't present Biz Talk without their generous support. Thank you to Hailing and Associates. Hailing and Associates help small businesses and individuals not just prepare tax returns, but plan ahead, thereby helping you minimize taxes for this year and beyond. Hailing and Associates, personal connections, positive results. Thank you to Johnson Financial Group. Wherever you are in your life or the life of your business, Johnson Financial Group works with you to understand your goals, enabling them to match the right banking and wealth services to help you complete your vision. Thanks to the Business News for promoting our program in the biweekly business newspaper serving Northeast Wisconsin. The paper contains relevant and useful information about the business community in this region. We'd also like to recognize the David L. and Rita E. Nelson Fund within the Community Foundation for the Fox Valley region for their generous donation and support of Biz Talk and Score Northeast Wisconsin. So, Jean, I'll turn back to you for this last segment now. Could you let listeners know how they can find you to get more information?
Sure. My website is transitionswithjean.com. And just like it sounds, I'm not even going to spell it out. Transitionswithjean.com. And if you want to send me an email, it's jean@transitionswithjean.com. And I can give you my phone number too. If you got your pen ready, you ready? 920-585-7769. I'd love to hear from you.
Okay. So what's the one message you'd send people that are listening now?
Oh, talk. Just start talking. What are you waiting for? Start having a conversation now instead of waiting till it becomes some big issue. If you talk and you share your ideas, what do you want? What are you looking for? Get talking. Talk with your parents, talk with your kids. And if you're over, 60, maybe it's time to not be thinking about your parents and start thinking about yourself, and having a conversation with your kids and get a plan in place. That's my message, is start talking.
And the other thing we want to make sure we mention is you have written a couple books. Could you tell us about those?
Oh yeah, you bet. They're at transitionswithjean.com. They are a collection of my columns. So I've been writing a column for 15 years for the Post Crescent, and each book is a collection of my columns. And it's not just about the stuff in your house. It's about all kinds of things to do with seniors, veteran services, dealing with an estate, how to deal with dementia. My parents both had memory loss, and it's about just all kinds of topics that deal with seniors. Gets you talking. Get your pen out and start underlining. That's it.
Excellent. Jean, thank you. This is a very important topic for people to hear about. It's not something people like to think about sometimes, but they really should. So you've been listening to Biz Talk with SCORE. If you want to capture this episode again or listen to prior episodes, you'll find it at our website, score.org /Northeast Wisconsin, or you can go to any of your favorite podcatchers. And this episode will be out there next Wednesday, but all our previous ones from the last 6 years are out on podcatchers as well, such as iTunes as well. All right. Thank you, everybody. I hope you have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next week.